Going to space is not an easy task. Besides all the calculations that you have to make, there's also a severe production cost, where if you factor in all the money it takes to hire people, the money it takes to get the materials needed to build rockets, and the money it takes to actually build these rockets, an average cost for maybe a medium-sized rocket launch would be about $100 million, and this is for small to medium-sized rocket launches alone. NASA's return to the moon will cost about $100 billion. This is just the sad reality that we have with space travel, where space missions cost up to millions of dollars, sometimes even billions of dollars. But recent advancements in fluid dynamics and material science have allowed us to harness the world of a new type of rocket engines that could potentially make rocketry cheaper and better than ever before. This is the world of detonation-based engines. Before we begin, we have to understand how traditional rocket engines work. If you paid attention in Boy Scouts, you'd probably know that to start a fire, you need fuel, oxygen, and heat. The same goes for rocket engines, where fuel and oxidizers are pumped into a combustion chamber, where they are then ignited and launched out of the back of a rocket, propelling the rocket forward. Now, the speed at which the fuel is burnt is dependent on the speed of sound, where if the fuel is burning at speeds lower than the speed of sound, so subsonic speeds, then it would be known as deflagration. But if the fuel is being burnt at speeds faster than the speed of sound, it would be known as detonation. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, a lot of traditional rocket engines utilize deflagration. I just don't get it, like, detonations are better.
During many tests, these vibrations have literally ripped apart the engine, setting the program back.
No, but in all seriousness, there's a reason behind why most traditional rocket engines utilize deflagration over detonation. And this is often because detonations, because the fuel is being burnt at speeds faster than the speed of sound, are far more dangerous, damaging the structure of engines and can lead to big boom booms. Although detonations are dangerous, they can provide a much higher energy release because they burn at a much higher rate. And because the conversion of chemical energy, which is the energy that the fuel and the oxygen has, to kinetic energy, which is the energy that is exerted on the rocket propelling it forward, because this conversion is much faster as the fuel is being burnt at a much faster rate, we can definitely get more energy and more thrust out of the same amount of fuel. Another issue with detonation-based rocket engines is that they cannot maintain a constant input of fuel and oxidizers, compared to traditional deflagration engines, where fuel and oxidizers are constantly being pumped in and constantly being ignited. Because of the high pressures and high energy shockwaves that detonation engines have, they have to inject the fuel and oxidizers in pulses. So you can think of it like this. A detonation engine is more of like an explosion, while a deflagration engine is more of like a constant burning fire. Now that we have a basic understanding of how detonations work, their benefits and their drawbacks, we can actually dive into the types of detonation engines. Now, detonations, there's two main types. There's a pulse detonation engine and a rotating detonation engine. So let's first dive into how a pulse detonation engine works. Like the name implies, pulse detonation engines utilize a pulse of detonations, where fuel and oxidizers are pumped into an open-ended combustion chamber, detonated and then launched out of the back. Now, for pulse detonation engines, it is very important that there's an even mixture of fuel and oxidizers, as due to the inherent high pressure and high speed nature of detonations, any small unevenness in the mixing can lead to a big explosion. Now, one solution to this problem is putting a barrier in the combustion chambers of pulse detonation engines. what this essentially does is that when the fuel and oxidizers collide with the barrier, they end up being more evenly mixed. Pulse detonation engines are an amazing rocket, but they still do not solve the issue of constant thrust. So now let's move towards rotating detonation rocket engines. The way rotating detonation engines work is like having a ring of pulse detonation engines, where fuel and oxidizers are constantly being pumped in around the center of the engine. Because the fuel and oxidizers are constantly being pumped in around the engine, we are able to get constant thrust, and we are also able to get the detonation wave traveling around, meaning that the high pressures and high temperatures would be evenly dispersed around the body. For NASA's rotating detonation engine, they are utilizing a new material called GR-COP42, which is their special made alloy that is built to withstand the high pressures and high temperatures within detonations. Now, rotating detonation engines utilize an aerospike nozzle in comparison to the traditional bell-shaped nozzle. This is because when the exhaust is coming out of a traditional bell-shaped nozzle, depending on the external pressure, it can either compress or decompress. While with Aerospikes, no matter the external pressure, it's always going to be pushing the exhaust onto the spike. Near the end of 2023, NASA tested their first full-scale rotating detonation rocket engine, and this would be one of the first steps towards a world where detonation-based rockets become mainstream. And what this world looks like is a world where rocketry is cheaper and better, meaning that trips to Moon, to Mars, and trips to space in general become cheaper and easier than ever before. This is a world that we can foresee in the future, and is a world where space travel is more efficient than it ever was. This is the world that detonation-based engines can provide us. Thank you for listening. Bro, I swear to God, bro, what the hell? It's like, what is it, like, 3 days of recording, maybe a couple gigabytes worth of footage? Oh my God, this video took so long to make. Please subscribe. Yeah, oh my God, so it's like, today, yesterday, January 19th. It keeps going, man. It doesn't stop. January 14th. Oh my God. Seriously. Alright. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe.